simultaneously, to play devil's advocate, that often is really difficult, because we have a new engagement here just up the freeway, working with a construction company. And as we're getting into transformation, they have a key leader that is in charge of a division within the company that is bespoke to painting, right? And part of the transformation is they don't have a succession plan. They have not had a succession plan in place. And so they have a leader that's struggling to transform into the new future that the CEO wants. And the threat there is he may leave if the CEO is stout about the requirement for cultural and operational change. But if he leaves because he's never invested in a succession plan, he doesn't have anybody in the company that can fulfill that SME position, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's a real life conundrum where it's not as easy as just going, all right, well, if you disagree, then, let's try to find you another place in another company where you do fit, because it could, financially harm the business when it comes to that part of their service, so it's like, I think you and I both agree, it'd be nice just to wave a magic wand and solve these problems just like that. But now when you get into these delicate situations, you have to really be strategically finesse the scenario and work with it and come up with win-wins,
That's a great example of how it's often not a yes or no answer. I'm willing to put up with it, or I'm not willing to put up with it. And that there's almost always, it's somewhere in between there. And so then where do we go from that? Do we go to the person and say, I know you aren't really happy with the direction we're going. This is the direction we're going. I value you being here. Want you to stick around. How can we make this work together? That oftentimes can be very productive. And sometimes it's making the potentially even more challenging or harder decision to say, well, I'm just going to put up with this bird in my saddle because that's what's best for the company. And I know it's dragging the other employees down in these ways, and I'm going to pay that cost. Or conversely saying, I know that helping them leave is going to hurt the company short term, and I know that long term it's worth it. So I'm going to pay the short term, and now how do I buffer against the cost that that's going to be?
Yeah. I love the question and the use case because, it really opens up a can of real life scenario when it comes to these concepts of establishing safety and creating cultural and operational transformation. Like, so let's explore for a second, if you don't mind. Mm-hmm. The CEO says to this person, this leader, all right, well, I appreciate it. Let's come up with a hybrid. Let's do a win-win. That way, we're going to safeguard the company from losing a great person. And we're going to safeguard the revenue that's attached to that and all of the customers that depend on that service that's attached to that. And so if it just stopped there, we'd be like, oh, well that's great. We totally avoided a catastrophe here and everybody's winning. Except for actually, there's more. What about the mixed signal it sends to the rest of the leaders who bought in to the CEO's vision? And so now you have one person that gets to do whatever they want in a hybrid fashion. And then you have all of the other leaders and employees going, okay, the CEO just made consolation for one person, and then they'll connect the dots. Now respect for the CEO goes down. And now they distrust the vision. So now you end up in this culture debt situation potentially, right? And that's really tricky. Right? So we went from, we got a win-win scenario. Perfect. I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. There are unintended consequences here.
Yes. In ideal situation, you can be open about what's going on and let everyone in on what the full calculus is here so that they can understand that. And
yeah,
even then you still have the potential for everyone, like those gears start turning. Like, well, I'm unique in this. I have unique
right.
value to the company in this way. So that means I can now leverage that and doing whatever I want. And suddenly you have a million people going in a million different directions.
Yeah. I can tell you what I would advise. I would advise the CEO going to this person and saying, I know this is tough for you, but we've been working together for a long time. I value you. I really do. We have to go in this direction. Would you trust me and would you try this way for 6 months and see, and let's, you and I stay in constant contact. But would you consider just trying for 6 months and let's see what happens? Then what I would do is I would advise the CEO to go start planning in the background in the event this doesn't work out and start lining up potential candidates, qualifying potential candidates, and have them in the wings in the event that he needs to send somebody in because it doesn't work out. That's what I would advise, because then you don't compromise the vision and you don't create accidental culture debt. You also give somebody an honest opportunity to lean in. Maybe it's even attached to an incentive. I don't know. Right? Maybe not. But then you're also responsible to protect the business, in the background. So that's what I would advise.
So if I were to paraphrase, you're saying treat this the same as any other performance problem with an employee. You make clear
based on the new vision.
Expectations. This is where we're going. I'd love to have you come along with us. Really value everything that you bring and the relationship we've built up over time. Will you please give it a try? And then it's up to them. If they say yes,
yeah,
great. Worst case, 6 months down the road, you're back to having the, well, this isn't working out discussion. In the best case, they've come along far enough, if not all the way to the vision, there's not an issue anymore.
Yeah. And I think I would advise the CEO to campaign a little bit there, knowing the nature of the relationship. I'd say, hey, bring to the table all of the different ways during their relationship that you have proven to this leader that you are faithful, dependable, timely, and trustworthy. And, campaign with those. And if they're true, let's assume they're true, And then be earnest with your ask. I would advise them to be earnest and say, I'm actually asking for a favor here. Because I really think you're going to be better and I'm going to be better and everybody you lead, they're going to be better at the end of this transformation. And I know you can't see it right now, but would you trust me? Because I want to work with you. And there are huge benefits in compensation, in growth, in scale, in job title as we progress into the future, but we got to go this way. Would you join me? Could we try it out? I'd recommend a full-on campaign, because this is somebody that they really like and trust and have loved working with. So there's a great relationship there, at least in the use case that I'm referring to.